Welcome to Therapy for Nerds, the show where licensed mental health professionals use their favorite topics like TV, books, games, and movies to provide psychoeducation on mental health. Please note, this is not meant to be a replacement for mental health treatment or services.
Hi, welcome to Therapy for Nerds. I am Cassidy Russell, along with our new host.
Hi, I'm Candace.
And today we wanted to do a little bit of a Valentine's Day special. So we are going to be talking about our choices for the top three and bottom three couples in the MCU. And we're going to try to keep it as much to the MCU as possible because I know we could totally go into like comics and stuff. I'm not as well versed in comics as I am in the MCU,
Mhm.
but we could go there. I do have some knowledge.
I have zero knowledge, so it would be all you, honestly.
It's a lot of secondhand knowledge to be completely honest. My sister's like, yeah. Anyway, so should we start with the three couples that we decided were like top tier couples, or should we start with the bottom tier couples? What do you think?
Oh, that's tough. Maybe I'll start with the bottom three.
Oh man. Are we And so this is in no particular order, and we will be giving a little bit of an explanation as to why we have chosen these couples.
Mhm.
But let's start off with Tony and Pepper. And I have a feeling Tony fans are gonna like hate me because you can't say anything negative about Tony without his fans coming out of the woodworks. Iron Man has a lot of fanboys, which I'm not. I wonder if it was played by any other actor than Robert Downey Jr., if he would have the amount of fanboys he has.
I don't know. I feel like Robert Downey Jr. really fits Iron Man. He just plays the role so well that it's hard to imagine like anyone else being him. So, yeah.
He really does.
Hmm.
So the main reason to start off why I don't think that they have healthy relationship dynamics would be he is her boss. At the
Hmm.
start, in the first movie, right? Like she's
Hmm.
basically a secretary and basically kicks the women that he sleeps with out of his house. Like that's one of the early scenes in the movie is
Yeah.
he sleeps with a woman and then she wakes up the next like the woman wakes up in his house the next day and Pepper's like, "Hmm." The woman's like, "Oh, I just had the best night." And then Pepper's like, "Hmm. Hi, honey."
Man, what a job. And speaking of that, isn't there a huge age gap between the two of them?
I don't know if their ages are really established in the MCU. Is there
Okay.
an age gap between the actors?
I'm not super sure. I don't know. I guess every time I think about boss and secretary sort of relationships, it tends to be like a pretty wide age gap.
I mean, yeah, typically. I'm not I'm not sure about an age gap with that one, but there's definitely power dynamics going on.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. Like it could potentially prevent her from saying no to
mhm.
this relationship, and that's unhealthy as heck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. And like I would argue the character Pepper like is able to hold her own in most cases. That we see that especially in Iron Man 3.
Hmm.
And then when she puts on the suit and becomes Rescue, but it's like it's it's still not it. He's
Hmm.
still very much and it hints in at least a couple of the movies that they had to take a break for one reason or another. I think because he gets so enraptured with his work that he kind of ignores her for extended periods of time.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
And so it kind of hints that there's a lot of strains in their relationship, including his PTSD that in the third movie he doesn't have any kind of handle on. He
Mhm.
hasn't sought any kind of treatment.
Mhm.
And Pepper can see just how much he's struggling, and she tries to push him towards getting some kind of help, but then
Mhm.
he really brushes it off and tries to play it off as nothing.
Mm, yeah, that's not a healthy coping mechanism at all. And on top of that, that makes it sound like there's really pretty lousy communication between the two of them, right? Because
Mhm.
in a healthy relationship, you would be able to talk to your partner about your issues and rely on one another and support one another. And that just doesn't seem to be going on between the two of them.
Yeah, especially I would argue in the earlier movies, there's not great communication going on between them.
Hmm. Hmm. No bueno.
Should we move on to the next couple?
Yeah, I genuinely don't know too much about Tony and Pepper, so that's my input there.
So this is just me. This is just my thoughts.
Oh, well, I mean, I can bank off what you're saying and I can understand why their relationship is not a healthy one.
Totally fair. So the next one is Doctor Strange and Christine. And in my note, I literally just wrote he's a dick.
I mean, I feel like that in and of itself is good enough to just say that's not a good
Yeah, that's it.
relationship.
That's
That's
the
it.
end.
Right. He's very self-centered, like focused on himself and
Hmm.
wanting to be in control of things. I'm not too familiar with their relationship as a whole, but him as a character is just
Because they're not in a relationship really in the first Doctor Strange movie. It's
Mhm,
really just hinted at in passing, like,
mhm,
oh, they were in a relationship, but then they broke up because he's a dick,
mhm,
basically. And then you see her trying to be there for him while he's going through like the surgery for his hands to try to get them to the point where he can do surgery again. And then he pushes her away because he can't stand that he's not in control.
mhm,
Control is definitely a huge element to his
mhm,
character and
mhm.
the need to have for everything to be within his control.
Right.
I think, and that definitely plays into like his profession as a surgeon, being in
Mhm.
control of life and death. Like
Right.
it's that's definitely for his ego, which his
Mhm.
ego is a huge part of his character. And it's not good for blossoming relationships, as you can tell by them not being together
Mhm.
in the first movie, and then her getting married to another character, to some character we don't even know in the second
Right.
movie.
Right.
Um, and he spends a lot of the second movie trying to get with the different universe version of her,
Yeah.
or at least it's looking like he's interested in her. But she's
Mhm.
also like, "You're a dick in every universe," so
Yeah.
no.
Like the fact that he doesn't even change in any of the universes says a lot about who he is. And when you were saying that he basically pushes Christine away, it made me think about like the four horsemen in a relationship. And
Mhm.
in particular, like stonewalling, right? Not listening to your partner when they're trying to tell you something or just turning away. And we don't want to do that. That's not healthy for any part of a relationship, and especially not one you're trying to blossom.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah. And all I can think about is like with the I'm not sure if the What If series counts for this as like part of the MCU, but I'm just gonna add it to it because
Uh,
I thought What If Doctor Strange Loses His Heart was like one of the weakest episodes. And it's Christine dies instead of him getting his hands crushed. And so he
mhm,
spends he like goes through the mystic arts in order to bring her back to life,
Mm.
and it still doesn't feel like it's really him doing it out of some kind of like love.
Mm-hmm.
It's him doing it out of some sort of need to control the situation, to control life and death.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's just his character. And you that's not someone who would be healthy to get into a relationship with, right? Because that's
Exactly.
someone that would just be super controlling over everything you did. We even
Yeah.
see him saying just like really rude, condescending things to her in multiple scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Just
That's
like,
abuse 101 right there. Someone who's very controlling and manipulative in a relationship because you, I mean, anyone in a relationship should have the freedom to make their own decisions.
mhm.
And Doctor Strange is not someone who would let their partner do that, it seems.
No, because he would be like, well, I know what's best because I'm so smart.
I'm a surgeon. I control life and death. Is that too mean? Are we just mocking him a little too much?
And
I don't
it's funny
know.
because like I enjoy people are gonna watch this and think that I hate like Iron Man and Doctor Strange, and I don't. Like I think they're
Hmm.
fun, interesting characters.
Hmm.
Do I think that they're healthy characters to be in a relationship with? No,
Hmm.
definitely
Exactly.
not. Like those are not if you're gonna pick any person in the MCU to like be in a relationship with, those are two of probably the worst people you could pick.
I agree. I agree. Like complete consensus over like these are two interesting characters with interesting backstories, but they need a lot of work on themselves before they could qualify as a healthy, good partner.
Yeah, they need to learn some communication skills, some
Yeah.
boundary setting with like work
Yeah.
and home, because both of them are not good at setting boundaries between work and home, right? Like
Mhm.
their
Mhm.
work is their identity for
Yeah.
both of them. And that's why Doctor
Exactly.
Strange has such a visceral reaction to having his hands crushed, is because that is his whole identity, is
Mhm.
being able to be the most amazing surgeon.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and on top of those two things, I would say like just general idea of emotional intelligence. This seems to be lacking, which
Yep.
is a shame. It's
Mhm.
I had read somewhere that instead of looks now, what people are looking for in partners is emotional intelligence. They don't have that. So don't go for them. If you ever
Yeah,
have the
no,
option to, don't.
that makes a lot of sense because there's so much emotional labor that goes into a relationship
Yeah.
that if you could cut that in half by just having someone that has the smallest bit of emotional intelligence to know what emotions they're feeling and know
Hmm.
what emotions the other person might be feeling
Hmm.
would be so helpful in so many relationships.
Right? Like the capacity to be there for your partner when they're having a tough time, or like when, even if you have a tough day,
Hmm.
like still being able to hold that space for your partner
Yeah,
and be there for them. That I think that's just it's such an important aspect to a relationship.
yeah. So I did promise three couples down at the bottom,
Right,
and
right,
we're
right.
still missing one. So last but not least, and maybe he's last because I don't view either of these characters as like mean,
Hmm.
but they just wouldn't work. And that is Bruce and Natasha.
Honestly, like like when they suddenly showed up as a couple, I don't remember in which movie. I was like,
Ultron, Age of
when
Ultron.
yeah, yeah, exactly. When the hell did this happen? I feel like there was no lead up to it. It
And
just suddenly happened and it literally made zero sense. Like Natasha and Captain America, I could see they had more um chemistry between the two of them. Natasha and Bruce, did they really ever interact much?
They
Not that I
okay,
can recall.
and this is probably part of the reason why it seems so jarring is because Natasha's the one in the first Avengers movie to go and get Bruce from his hiding spot, right?
Right.
Like she is sent to go get him for Nick Fury. So she goes and is talking with him, and then he does the slightest thing and she has her gun on him, right? Like she's terrified of him.
Yeah.
And that's the only interactions you really see. There's also another interaction where he turns into the Hulk on the airship
Mm-hmm.
and tries to murder her.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
the only reason why he doesn't is because Thor comes in and knocks him on his butt. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it, and then they're kind of seen together in the Battle of New York, but even then it's just like kind of in passing, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they're shooting some stuff and then Cap is like Hulk go smash some things and then Hulk runs off to smash things. They're
Right.
not really interacting. There's no scene of her like shooting an alien and then Bruce coming in and finishing the job, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
no
Mm-hmm.
her getting swarmed by aliens and then Bruce coming in and saving her, right? Like it's
Nope. Nope.
there's none of that. The only scenes we see of them interacting together in the first movie is of her trying to keep a good face on, but under the surface we know she's terrified of him.
Right.
And for good reason, because
Mm-hmm.
he did attack her.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so this makes me think like, is this like some form of Stockholm syndrome where she gets with the person who makes her like super scared and this fear somehow gets like misinterpreted as love? Like the relationship just makes no sense.
The only thing I can think of is it's just bad writing. It's just, and it's also the issue with Black Widow being the only female Avenger for so long is just like all the writers and directors had their own like vision for her, and
Mm-hmm.
there's so many like possible couplings with her and
Mm-hmm.
like all the Avengers because she's like basically every Avenger has like a moment with her, right? Like in Iron Man 2, Tony's turns to Pepper and is like, "Ooh, can I have one?" when Black Widow's doing her Black Widow stuff, which is
Mm-hmm.
another like ugh kind of moment.
Right.
Um and then she has then she's in the Captain America movie. So
Mm-hmm.
where she's with Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
In the first Avengers, she's shown to have a very close personal relationship with Hawkeye.
Right.
The only one I guess would be Thor that she doesn't really get into.
I mean, I feel like Natasha and Bruce or Natasha and Thor both like if that had happened, it's still the same thing. Like it just
Well,
doesn't
no,
make
like
sense.
Natasha and Thor wouldn't have made any sense, but I'm just saying, like, he's the only character I can think of where there wasn't some kind of like passing, at least in passing
Mhm.
reference to, ooh, maybe they could get together, or ooh,
Uh,
maybe he's sexually interested in her.
mhm.
Um, yeah, he's the only male Avenger that I can think of that I don't think had that.
Mhm. Mhm. Now I'm thinking about it, it kind of bothers me that they felt the need to pair her off with even anybody. Like, why couldn't she just be like that solo, independent, awesome female Avenger? Like, I don't know. I feel like movies often feel the need to like couple off.
Hmm. I'm like holding myself back right now because I could literally do a half hour solo episode of just me saying everything I wish they had done for Black Widow and Natasha. Like I
That'll be a separate
I
episode,
have
y'all.
so many thoughts about Natasha. They did her so dirty, and
Mhm.
I will never get over her ending in Endgame. Like I will be mad about that till the day I die. I will hold on to that anger.
I was shocked that they killed her off, to be honest. Oh, spoiler. Whoops. If I don't think that anyone
We
who's
should have done
watching
a
this.
spoiler warning at the beginning, but like we're talking
Whoops.
about MCU couples, like you
No, you're
gotta think there's
stuck.
gonna be some spoilers.
Right. Yeah, I genuinely thought it was gonna be Hawkeye, but they didn't kill him off because he has a family. I guess. I mean, yeah, sure.
Yeah, but because he has a family, it would have been even more impactful if they killed him off. And
Hmm.
there were that probably included in that episode. I would talk about how many instances they had to kill off Hawkeye's character and how it really doesn't make sense for him to have lived this long.
Yeah, I don't
Like the
know.
whole writing for Age of Ultron was like setting him up to die, and then
Mhm.
instead it's Pietro, and then it Pietro says, "You didn't see that coming." And it's not really to Hawkeye, it's really to the audience because the audience has been set up of like, the classic like, "Oh, I'm 2 days from retirement" kind of character in a cop show or a cop movie,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
they set him up to be that character, right? Where you see the family, you see that he has like this lovely home with these kids. They set him up to be that. And
Right.
then in the last second where you think he's going to die, instead they kill off this character who they don't have established, who they could have done so much more with.
Mhm. Mhm. It's a shame,
So that
honestly.
they could have and then they could have killed him in Endgame, and the Hawkeye show could have been her training the next Hawkeye. Like that would have been great. That would have been
That
amazing.
actually,
I would
yeah. Cassidy is about to go on a rant, y'all.
I have a lot of thoughts.
I mean, I totally get it.
A
I've
lot of
thought a lot about how, like, how does he survive so long? Like you're saying, they've set him up to die.
and
He
then he just
uses a
keeps
bow and an arrow that doesn't automatically like how does he have so many I don't.
I don't know, he's like some kind of weird Energizer bunny of the MCU where he just keeps going. I don't know why. Um,
Like the actor himself, I'm sure, great person. I just
yeah,
like the character. I
yeah.
struggle to get behind.
So anyways, we're not talking about Hawkeye.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm
Well,
sure he's fine with his
oh,
wife.
yeah,
They
oh,
seem fine.
true.
They
Yeah,
seem
I mean
lovely.
they have kids and everything. I'm sure that they're working things out. Figuring things
Yeah.
out for their relationship. They're not in our top three though.
Yeah, they're not our top three. They're honorable mention, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
Um, but yeah, as far as like Bruce and Natasha, and then I really didn't like the whole "I'm a monster because I can't have babies" deal. And then Bruce's "Me too, I can't have babies," and that's like supposed to be the way that they bond. And it's just like, why would they bond over that? And it was such a forced conversation. And then
I don't.
also the fact that it in the latest MCU show, the last scene is the Hulk going, "Hey, here's my son." So it's
Right.
like,
What happened to not being able to have kids?
yeah,
Um, I I almost thought about like, is this their attempt at trauma bonding or something? Okay, and
I
PSA trauma bonding relationships don't work.
yeah, they really don't. They don't.
Like, yeah, it's a way to connect with someone, but if that's the only thing that's drawing you to one another, it's not it's not gonna last, y'all. Just saying. Yeah.
Should we go into our top 3 couples now?
Yeah, sounds good. Let's do that.
Okay. So the first one, how about we start off with the good old Wanda and Vision?
Yeah. Okay, you know more about Wanda and Vision than I do. I know them just sort of like generally as well. I think they're very cute. They're a very attractive couple. They both have, their own sort of like supernatural superpowers. So that's pretty cool. And I like that scene where Vision just walks through her wall and into her room. Boundaries, am I right? Anyway,
Which she calls him out on, and she
yes.
makes an effort in the future. Like you see that effort, which is also a good part. Like that shows good communication in their relationship of
Exactly.
them talking to each other, setting boundaries,
Mhm,
um,
mhm.
and just they're just so sweet and so cute together. And
They they
the
are.
grief that Wanda feels is so visceral in
Yeah.
WandaVision. But there's
Mhm.
one scene in WandaVision that is like a flashback scene to before he died, of them at the Avengers compound, and he's trying to comfort her by like he did research to find the perfect meal from her homeland, and
Oh.
he's trying to cook it for her. He doesn't really understand how to cook because he's not human, and he doesn't actually understand how things taste because he can't eat, but he's
Mhm.
still making that effort to comfort her in a way that he's been told is comforting to humans.
Right.
And then he's like sits down and he watches the shows that she loves to as like a, and it's just such a sweet bonding moment where you
Mhm.
can tell like he's really trying his hardest
Mhm.
to be there for her, even though
Right.
he's never done that for anyone before because he's
Mhm.
like 2 days old or whatever.
Mhm. Mhm.
um and he's not even human, but he's trying to be, and it's
Yeah.
just such a sweet tender moment. And then
Uh,
she's talking to him about the grief that she feels and how devastating it is to her, and he's the quote that I found so just amazing.
mhm.
um what is grief if not love persevering,
Mhm.
which is such a beautiful quote.
Yeah.
um
It is. It's so deep. Oh my goodness.
and then just to see how far they would go for each other. Like we
Mhm.
know Wanda would go as far as to do the WandaVision thing, kidnap
Yeah.
a whole town and make them
Mhm.
play out her sitcom fantasies.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
Not that I think she really intended to do that. Like if she had the choice to do that, I don't think she would have. I don't feel like she really understood what she was doing until towards the end of the show.
Mhm.
Um, it was really like her grief had taken over for her.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I had a whole long episode on WandaVision.
Mhm.
Feel free to check that out. I talk with a couple of therapists that specialize in grief, and we really go into it. One of my favorite episodes. I can put that in the show notes. It And then also like so we see her do that for him, right?
Mhm.
Well, also if you watch the what if episode with the zombie episode, Vision is obviously immune to becoming a zombie because he's not human. There's no like flesh. So he but Wanda's not. So Wanda becomes a zombie.
Mhm.
And Vision lures people so that he can feed them to his zombie girlfriend. And like, if that's not some kind of weird twisted love, I don't know what is.
I agree. I agree. It's a little messed up, but hey, he's doing it for her.
He's
And yeah.
I, I remember seeing something of like, don't get yourself a hero as a boyfriend because like he'll sacrifice you to save the world. Get yourself a villain as a boyfriend because he'll sacrifice the world to save you. Like, I don't know how
Dang.
healthy that is, but like those two, it feels like it that is the good, what is it, metaphor for those two? That's not the word.
Comparison?
Compare, yeah. Yeah, I
I
guess.
can see that. I can see that. And like hearing you talk about how Vision tried to learn how to cook or sat down and watched shows with her and listened to her talk about her grief, like that is a partner who shows that they care in more than one ways without like having to ask them to do something for you. Now, I don't think it's healthy to always expect partners to know what it is that you want or to read your mind, but when they do these little actions, I without, you know, being asked and they're paying attention to what it is that their partner needs, I think that says a lot about them as a person.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, look for someone like that.
Yeah, that's who you want.
hmm Absolutely. That is so sweet. Oh my goodness.
The zombie thing or the cooking thing?
Oh, the cooking thing. I mean, the zombie thing is twisted and cute. Okay, I know it's weird to call it cute, but it is pretty cute, in a effed up sort of way.
Yeah. I'm just teasing you.
Oh, I know. But like if I were like turned into a zombie and I had a partner who couldn't turn into a zombie, I feel the love if they were just feeding me humans. just saying.
Yeah, totally.
I'm not endorsing eating on humans, by the way.
Yeah, definitely not.
Just PSA. Want to put
Yeah.
it out there.
How about we just go on to the next couple?
Sounds
The,
good. Sounds good.
the
All
next
right.
couple I have written down is Peter and MJ.
So, I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man. I would say probably my favorite superhero. And now the relationship I wish I paid more attention to, but there's something about it that at least stuck out for me with the Tom Holland and Zendaya coupling. Like, okay, first and foremost, I think they're a really cute couple in real life. Very, very adorable. But I would say like in the movies, I feel like MJ is really made to be this perceptive individual who recognizes or pays attention to these little details in the people who are around her, and especially like Peter. If I recall correctly, I think she realized that he was hiding a secret, probably something big like being Spider-Man. But it's like she respected his boundaries and didn't push on it, And once they did get together, like they were very supportive of one another. Like whatever it is that they needed to do for each other, they were willing to
Mhm.
go to the lengths to do that. And I think that's something that's really important in a relationship is like being able to stick through tough situations, thick and thin, communicating through all of that. And I feel like that's what they have.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So like when in No Way Home where she's getting like interrogated by the police and she's just like, I'm not gonna talk, like I'm not gonna rat my boyfriend out.
Exactly.
And then you see them holding like having a strong front together while they're walking into school and there's all these
hmm
people that are yelling all these like crazy things like are you
hmm
gonna have his spider babies to teenagers?
Right.
That's
Creepy.
like I know that the actors are not teenagers anymore, but when you think about it in context of the film, they are literally walking into a high school.
Right.
That is creepy to be yelling at a high school girl. Are you going to be having this high school boy's babies? Like, that's weird.
No, that's like Stepping on so many boundaries. Don't say that to people
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah, that's yeah, even if they're older, that's weird, but it's like an added layer to high
Oh,
school. Yeah.
absolutely. It's an added layer of creepiness and inappropriateness
Hmm.
for sure. Yeah, I wish I had more to say, like because I like have this gut feeling of they're a really solid couple. I don't have specifics in my mind to back it up. They're just really cute. And
They are really cute. And I do feel like they spend a lot of time being really there for each other. Like
yeah.
as soon as she's let in on the secret, like she's down for anything. Like she's
Mhm.
on the adventure
Mhm.
and she has fun with it.
Right.
And so they have like in Far From Home and No Way Home, there's instances where she backs him up a lot, where he's
Mhm.
able to call on her for help.
Mhm.
She's able to rely on him for help. So it's very much a mutual relationship. And then
Absolutely.
his ability to recognize at the end of No Way Home, like, what if she's safer without me, even though it's really painful? Like,
Yes.
that shows a lot of that must have been really hard for him to do.
Yeah, so self-sacrificing for her well-being. And
Yeah.
as you're talking about all this, I'm thinking about Far From Home and how that was a movie that he was trying to get her attention, gain her affection. And like um I'm I'm almost certain that he went out to get a gift for her, like
Yes, he
specifically
did.
with her interests in mind and the fact that like
Yeah.
he pays attention to her characteristics, her personality, and who she is as an individual,
Yeah.
and goes out and seeks a gift that suits her. I think that's very like telling of an attentive individual, someone who
Yeah.
really cares. I have to say there is that one scene in that movie too where he accidentally sends a missile to that one guy towards the one guy in his class, and I just thought that's really really hilarious.
Yeah.
He's like, get away from her. Jeez,
But
you
yeah,
know?
yeah, he seeks out the Black Delilah necklace, and
Yes.
it's Black Delilah, like the murders,
Mhm,
which is
mhm.
he specifically sought that out because he figured that knowing her interests that she would love a gift like that, and she did. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's definitely when you're getting a gift for someone, you should think of what they would be interested in.
Exactly. Don't go getting a gift that like you think they would like and you would definitely like, like don't be one of those people.
Yeah. Yeah, like a Homer Simpson giving his wife a bowling ball with his name on it, like, and then it's just a gift for him.
Oh no. Yeah, yeah. Don't do that. Do what Peter and MJ are doing for one another.
Yeah, I'm sorry to bring The Simpsons into an episode about the MCU, but I couldn't think of an MCU couple where that happened. I'm sure I will think of one after we stop recording, but
That's all right.
and then our last couple that we're going to talk about is Scott and Hope. Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is going to have a movie that comes out probably later in the week that this is being released. So no, we have not seen the latest one. Um,
Mm,
so we are just going off of the previous couple of movies that they were like solo movies that they had, and then
mhm,
the other appearances.
mhm.
Um, and maybe this is just because Paul Rudd is such a likable guy that he his charisma just exudes into his character.
Right, right.
But I really like Ant-Man and the Wasp because
Mm,
of the how they show mixed families. Like there's a little bit of
mm,
tension between Scott and the new husband. Uh, but it's like by the end of the first film, he kind of concedes that, yeah, okay, yeah, this guy's still a good guy. And so
Mhm.
they do try to co-parent, and you really see that in the second Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Uh, and then like I love that Hope isn't scared to call Scott out on his crap,
Mhm.
because he can be a little bit of a fast
Goofball.
talker sometimes.
Mhm. Mhm.
But they still are able to come together and really work towards a goal. Like
Mhm.
her kind of teasing him about calling Captain America Cap, and then
Mhm.
in Endgame where she calls Captain America Cap was just such a cute like full circle moment, which I
Yeah.
really loved. I just feel like they're really sweet together, even though like they had that breakup because he took the technology and without her or her father's permission and then got in
Mhm.
trouble.
Mhm.
Like they're still able to talk. Like it took a while, but they were able to talk it out basically.
Mhm. 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 I'm trying to remember like what it was like when they first met one another. I felt, if I remember correctly, I feel like she was like a little unnecessarily rude to him in the beginning, kind of condescending.
Yeah, yeah. I,
But, I know she had her defenses and her wariness, her uncertainty. Um
a lot of
and
stemmed from, and that wasn't. It was directed at Scott, but it really wasn't towards Scott. It was more of
mhm.
frustration over having all the skills she needed to do the job that needed to be done, but
Mhm.
then still having a man be picked for the job instead of her.
Right, right. Absolutely. Like her frustration totally makes sense, and I'm sure like later on that they have that discussion of like, hey, this isn't fair. And she also, I think you had mentioned this, but like that she is a no bullshit kind of woman. Like she will not tolerate things that just is unfair, doesn't make sense, and she'll stand her ground.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah,
that's really important. Mhm.
definitely. Definitely. And it definitely is strong in the relationship because she definitely sets really strong boundaries.
Mhm. Mhm.
And Scott does a decent job at like keeping to those boundaries once they're set. So
Mhm.
that's, I'm probably also saying Scott and Hope because I rewatched the second Ant-Man
Mhm.
a lot. Uh,
Uh-huh.
I really enjoyed the second Ant-Man. It was really fun. Not,
I have
it,
to rewatch it.
it's so much fun. Maybe it's, I think my husband and I were watching a lot of, we rewatched that one several times for some reason. I think just because Paul Rudd's just such a likable guy, and we were just wanting something really just low key and comforting that it was like,
Yeah.
all right, we'll just watch this. We'll just
Yeah.
watch this again, whatever.
I totally get that. Paul Rudd just kind of exudes that kind of energy. And it makes me think like even in his character, he's so like upbeat and casual that it's a nice contrast to how Hope is, where she's more
Yeah.
serious and like I don't know, intense is kind of the feeling I got from her.
Yeah, she definitely can be intense,
Yeah.
but I
So
think
it's a
they
nice
do a good job of
balance.
balancing each other out. Yeah, like you
Mhm.
said.
Mhm. Like complimenting one another and filling out like the little holes that one another has. I guess if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. I I really don't know much about them. They're cute though. I know Scott is cute. Scott is cute. I hope I really don't know too much about, but yeah.
But yeah, so that is my thoughts. That is our thoughts on MCU couples who we believe to be top tier and bottom tier couples. If you disagree or agree, feel free to tell us in the comments. I'm sure I'm sure there's a lot of opinions on this.
Absolutely. I'm sure people are gonna say like, Candace doesn't even know what she's talking about. Like, what is she going on about? My apologies, y'all. I'm trying.
Doing great, Candace.
Thanks. But this was definitely a lot of fun for sure. Like being able to talk about this and connect it to like healthy relationships and, giving people a sense of like what is something to look up to and
Mhm.
what's not.
Yeah, what should you be on the lookout for and what should you run away from?
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, we will see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you liked this episode, please comment, like, subscribe, and follow us on social media. Remember to be kind to yourselves this week.